The monk is the master of martial prowess, the seeker of inner peace, and they dedicate themselves to a rigorous path of self improvement, honing their bodies and their minds into instruments of peak performance. I'm Robert Walker, author of Session Zero, the DMG to writing great campaigns in any system. And this is my show where I teach collaborative storytellers how to have more immersive campaigns using psychology. And today we're focusing on one of my favorite classes in the game of tabletop RPGs, which is the monk, but also in the real world, probably my favorite class to focus on leveling up as. This is why I've saved this class for the last. It is just a personal reflection. Obviously, there's no right or wrong answer in whatever classes you wish to focus on during your level up journey, but this is the one that I have been focusing on the most over the last year or two. And so I've had a lot of personal insights to it, and it's given me a lot that I would like to share about it. Now, the real life monk will focus on the abilities of dexterity and wisdom. Dexterity, of course, represents your physical agility, your mobility, your overall coordination, and wisdom embodies that inner strength, your mental focus, intuition, and your ability to be mindful and present in your own thoughts. So let's talk about some real life applications for dexterity. Now, obviously, you could work on developing physical agility. This would be activities, especially for the monk. This would be things like martial arts, which is the one we all think about when we think about the monk, right? They are the martial artists, the hand and foot combat class. But it can also be dance classes or yoga or parkour or anything that allows your body to move in a full range of mobility and dexterity. It's also important to refine your reflexes, so practicing activities that require quick reflexes and hand-eye coordination. So sports even like tennis or ping pong or juggling, even video games that promote fast reaction times will work on developing that hand-eye coordination and your ability to respond quickly, thus heightening your reflexes. Another thing you might not think about for this is body weight training. Now, monks are often known, especially if you look at like the Shaolin style monks, they are known that their bodies are weapons. They train them to a degree of strength that where they become almost like steel. It's a form of training called iron body training, where you develop portions of the body to withstand impact and has the ability to like maintain very, very difficult positions for long periods of time. And this is called having an iron body. But even for terms of mobility, body weight training or strength training can be extremely effective. The back squat is one of the key foundations of a strength training routine. However, if you focus on a back squat through full range of motion, work on getting that functional movement down in a butt to ground or an ass to grass type of squat, working on your form, you will be greatly increasing the mobility of your ankles and your hips and your ability to move freely through a full range of motion. So think about things like that too. Even if you are wanting to focus on flexibility, remember that mobility, which is the ability to move through a range of motion with strength and control, is very, very important. It's not just how much can you bend, but how much stability and control do you have at full ranges of motion. Now let's look at wisdom for the monk. Now this is going to be things like a mindfulness practice. So developing an inner awareness through meditation. You can do guided meditation. You can work your way through journaling sessions. Anything that focuses on calming your mind and your thoughts without judgment and cultivating a sense of inner peace. Also, sharpening your focus, so training your mind to maintain focus for extended periods of time. This is something as simple as just being present in the here and the now, mindfulness meditation, concentration exercises, even things like studying chess strategies, which would be normally considered an intelligence-based skill, but being present and aware of the entire situation could be very wisdom focused. Another big thing to look at when it comes to wisdom is self-reflection. So monks are introspective. They are regularly reflecting on their own thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is done through journaling or spending time in nature or simply taking quiet moments for self-reflection, these can help you focus on your mindfulness and your. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is our rule of three, the three books that we might look at that would help us in our journey of leveling up as a monk. And for me, this is a really good one because, like I said, I've spent the last little more than a year, somewhere between 1 and 2 years, working on leveling up in the monk class, aka I have been doing strength training, mindfulness training, and a lot of martial arts. And so this has been the path that I have mostly been focused on, with a little bit of dabbling in rogue, bard, and some fighter as well. But the three books that I have selected for this are ones that I have all read in person with a physical copy of the book, not even online or on a Kindle or anything like that, but I actually bought these copies of the book and I have read each of them more than once. I find them to be extremely useful and extremely informative, especially for the mental aspect of the monk's journey. So the first one is by Thich Nhat Hanh. It is No Death, No Fear. And this book goes into the idea that so many of our fears stem from the fear of becoming nothing or dissolving into nothing at the end of our lives. And it sort of tackles the idea of how everything is interconnected, and we didn't come from nothing, so we will not return to nothing. And really just goes into the mindset of understanding the sources of your own fear, learning how to be mindful and present so that you aren't trapped in fear, and how to move forward and push through it. This is very much in the wisdom aspect of the monk. So excellent read. As always, I'll go ahead and put the information about these books into the show notes so that you can find them on Amazon if they are things you want to look out. The second book is a little bit newer, but it's based on an older writing and teaching. And the book is by Shannon Lee, and it is Be Water, My Friend. Now, this is based on the teachings of Shannon's father, Bruce Lee, one person who we would all look at and think very quickly of being the monk class, very focused on a specific type of philosophy and mobile and agile in the martial arts sense. So very much embodies that spirit. But what this book does is it goes into the teachings of her father, Shannon does, and she explains things not just for martial artists or people who are interested in that sort of monk path, but how the philosophies and teachings of her father can apply to every day and all situations, and how to develop a sense of mindfulness that would make you one in body and spirit. And it's extremely enlightening, especially if you are on that monk's path, because the entire book can be applied to both your martial arts training and to your mindfulness practice. And finally, the last book is a little bit more specific. It's a quite old text, and it is the 20 Guiding Principles of Karate by Gin. And this essentially goes into the 21 rules or principles that Genshin Funakoshi has established for the foundation of his style of karate. I will give you just one example. The very first precept that is established in this, the first principle, is that you must always remember that the way of karate, or karate do, begins and ends with respect. So it is a teaching not just for karate, but it is for martial arts, right? Martial arts should always be practiced and adhered to in a state of respect, but it is also a principle for your everyday life, and something that through mindfulness you can use to really bolster your wisdom as well. If you approach every scenario treating others with respect and being respectful in your own actions, that respect will radiate, and you are developing, once again, both your martial ability and your wisdom. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you might run into on this path. As everything, progress isn't always linear. So if you find yourself in a place where you are discouraged or you're hitting a plateau, based on your physical training or even your mental state of mind in meditation or mindfulness, that is a normal part of the journey. So remember to review your goals, adjust your approach, and when you have a victory, celebrate it. Even if it is small, that doesn't matter. Now, especially when it comes to things like martial arts, as you begin the process, you're probably going to find that there's a lot of things early on that you really struggle with. Your balance may not be very good, your agility may not be there, your strength or your focus or your ability even to remember forms or certain strikes, that may not be there early on, and that's okay. This is where the next thing to come overcome is in this process, and that is discipline. It's going to be a constant struggle. You are developing healthy routines and creating a system to help you yourself stay accountable. One of the best ways to do this is to find a friend to work out with or to find a group to go to. So if you're doing karate with a group of people or a class, or you're doing kung fu or whatever martial art you are interested in, or if it's not even that, if it's dance or gymnastics or something else that engages your body and allows you to learn mobility and strength through range of motion, any of them would be great. But having somebody who can be an accountability partner or a group that you're going to be excited to go visit and spend time with and develop an additional community about this, that is really helpful. This is sort of why the idea of monks having monasteries is so emblematic of the class, right? They typically go to the monastery and they learn as a community how to be a very proficient individual, and it's a really beautiful concept. Of course, there are distractions in life that you might run into. It throws curveballs at all of us, so setbacks can come up. Just remember, don't let those things derail your progress entirely, and you can always find a small space to practice in. Like, even if you are working on karate, for example, even if you can just run through your forms once or twice a week, you'll still improve given the course of time. Remember, consistency is far more important than perfection. Far more. Remember, an imperfect routine done consistently will always outperform a perfect routine done occasionally. So just remember how important it is to just do something. Keep moving forward, keep pushing forward, and then you will overcome whatever plateaus and obstacles are in your path. So before we get into the 3-month leveling up plan as a monk, let me just share with you a little bit about my experience and what I've been through over, especially the last year that I've been focusing on this class in particular. So in August of last year, I decided that this is something that I have always wanted to do with my life. I've always been interested in martial arts and karate, and I was at a point where I wanted to do something new, find a new skill, and work towards something that had been on my bucket list for a very long time, which was to earn an advanced belt in karate. So I discussed this with my daughter. We have talked many times over the years about learning a martial art together. She's 12 years old, and we decided that we would enlist in a karate class together. And awesomely enough, I was able to track down an instructor who I had begun taking lessons from when I was in my early teens, a long time ago. We'll just say that it was it was a long time ago. And what's great is this instructor also taught my father when he was a teenager as well. So it's sort of generational now that my grandmaster has taught 3 generations of my family. But in the last year, my daughter and I have been back there twice a week, training together, working on forms at home together, working on sparring. It's been an amazing, eye-opening opportunity, not just individually, but as a family as well. So this is why I really advocate for the idea of having an accountability buddy or somebody who you're working with, because it gives you that opportunity to just be there side by side, honing your skills together, even when you're away from the dojo or the training hall or gym or wherever it is that you're putting your work in on this. Additionally, we've competed in tournaments and we've done very well. I've got a couple of second place finishes. My daughter has done extremely well. She's actually won grand champion twice for her age group over the last year. So it's been a really amazing bonding experience as father and daughter, but also a very amazing experience as an individual, just becoming more physically fit, more attuned to my body and its abilities, and the mental aspect of learning the internal forms and understanding the mindset of being someone who isn't out looking for a fight, but being the person who always knows how to diffuse the situation, but be confident and ready should something ever happen. Let's talk about that 3 month plan. Now, like all of our classes, 3 months is just really beginning to scratch the surface. I honestly think that if you were really devoted for 3 months, you can basically, in real life, it's, I think, the equivalent of sort of gaining A level in a class. You have enough time to really learn enough skills to say that you're competent in a small number of things that are related to that class. Like, I've been working on the karate classes that we're going to for over a year now, and I would say that I'm just becoming competent with some of the things that we're working on. I have definitely noticed significant improvements in my dexterity and my wisdom and my ability to assess situations, and, for lack of a better word, my ability to fight hand to hand, because we do practice that twice a week. And it's something that I really struggled with early on. I remember how many times I walked away from getting punched in the face. And as time goes on, that dexterity and AC is improving, and fewer of those blows are landing as I become more familiar with the techniques and the rhythm of combat. So, in that first month, you really want to identify what it is you're going to use as the dexterity or mobility component of your training. Is it going to be a martial art, or is it going to be something like a yoga or a tai chi or dance or gymnastics? Whatever it is, identify what it is you're going to do and identify how you're going to do it. Are you going to do online classes? Are you going to do group classes in your community? Are you going to just practice with someone who you know who's also interested in doing it? But find a way to start incorporating that physical training 1 to 2 times a week. Now, this can be body weight exercises, it can be the martial arts training, it can be functional strength training, like I was talking about before, using strength training to improve your strength at range of motion, which increases your mobility, and it will increase your flexibility as well. Also, you want to start incorporating some sort of a meditation practice. Now, this practice does not have to be sitting in full lotus with, monk chant taking place and incense burning. It could be that if you were interested. It could also be something like audio guided meditations. It could even be something as simple as 10 to 15 minutes a day of journaling on your thoughts and trying to focus on calming your mind and observing your own thoughts without judgment. Also, whatever you're doing, I would say do a little bit of self-reflection at least once a week. So even if you're journaling for meditation, do a little more journaling that's going to be reflection on your actions, your morals, the things that you struggled with, the things that you want to focus on. Work on getting a better idea of what your goals are, what skills you really want to focus on for your physical aspect. There's something I write about a lot in my own journal is if I have a karate class where I am struggling to get a kick to a certain height, then I'll journal about it and talk about what steps I need to take to improve my flexibility or my speed or whatever the case may be. And just having that time to reflect really helps redefine the goals for the next week or the next short period of time. So in your second month, you should be getting into the routine of doing this, and this is where you want to work on your focus and your dedication. So here you'll work on sharpening your physical agility and your mental focus, continuing the meditation practice, and take your agility training, whether it be dance or martial arts or gymnastics or yoga or whatever it is, make it a little bit more challenging and push yourself to explore a little bit further, learn more about the style, go into the history of the style, find out who developed the style, and see if they have any books available that you are able to read. You can get a lot of information about what you're practicing and insight like this. That's something that will help you appreciate the physical aspect, but it'll also help you focus a little bit more on the wisdom aspect as well. So do that during your second month. And during that third month, do something that is uniquely challenging, that pushes you to see where you are in comparison to others. So during our third month of karate, my daughter and I entered our first tournament, and we were both white belts. We were just into the program and having fun, but we were very new to the whole process. But man, we had a great time. And what was, I think, the best part about doing something like this was that it gave us a drive to improve so much more, seeing on display the abilities of others and having ourselves tested against those abilities. It really gives you perspective when you can see how far you have yet to go, but also you sort of get that guidance from those who have walked the path and were at the point you were years ago or many decades ago, or however the case may be. But when you have that opportunity to see in practice the spectrum of skills and where you stand on it, I think it's really useful for knowing how to develop as you go forward. Also, during this third month, I would say plan a longer trajectory. Is this something that you want to do for a long period of time? Figure out a time frame for how much energy and dedication you want to put in to this craft. For myself, this was the point where I decided that I definitely want to keep pushing forward with this. I was really enjoying the physical changes that were taking place with my body and with my mental health, being able to be more present and more mindful and not ruminating so much on a lot of the things that stressed me out from day to day, but being able to instead focus my energy on practicing an art was really very helpful for myself. So think about all of that as you move forward and as you choose what path you might decide to go on for the monk if it is the class you wish to level up in. This is the last of our Level Up in Real Life series, but I will tell you that coming ahead, looking forward, I'm going to focus on this a little bit more in a different medium. I have been putting together a book that's going to focus on everything we've talked about over the last number of months and providing even more details and even more ideas, including like full training, like full 3-month training guides for what would you do for strength training for a fighter? What would you do for martial arts? How would you improve dexterity as a rogue? Like, it will go into specific details and specific exercises that you can use to follow your level up journey. So I will give you more information as that comes out, and when it's available for purchase, it will be on Amazon. Looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. It's been a lot of fun building that as I go along the process of putting this podcast together. As always, I just want to say thank you so much. And if you enjoy this show, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And as always, we'll see you next session.